Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I'm Anuja Kumar and with me is Saira Mujtaba with the Midday News. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi takes second dose of COVID vaccine. To review the COVID situation and expansion of vaccination program with chief ministers this evening. Over 1,26,000 new COVID-19 cases reported in the last 24 hours, 80% cases from 8 states. More than 9 crore COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country so far. Night curfew to be imposed in 4 districts of Uttar Pradesh from today. Madhya Pradesh government announces measures to prevent black marketing and unnecessary price rise of masks, oxygen and medicines. Campaigning for 4th phase of assembly elections in West Bengal to end this evening. A slew of Indian projects in Seychelles to be virtually inaugurated by the Prime Minister with Seychelles President Wawil Ramkalawan. Army Chief General M.M. Naravane arrives in Dhaka on a 5-day visit to Bangladesh. Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana completes 6 years. Loans worth 15 lakh crore rupees sanctioned so far. And IPL kicks off from tomorrow. Mumbai Indians to take on Royal Challengers in the opening game at Chennai. As the number of COVID cases are on the rise again, we appeal to our listeners not to lower the guard, take all the precautions and all those above 45 years to get vaccinated without any hesitation. Stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki doori for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today took the second dose of COVID-19 at AIIMS in New Delhi. The Prime Minister tweeted that he got his second dose of the COVID-19 vaccine at AIIMS today. He said vaccination is among the few ways we have to defeat the virus. He said if one is eligible for the vaccine, one should get the shot soon. He also appealed to register on cowin.gov.in. The nurse who administered the second dose of vaccine to the Prime Minister today is Nisha Sharma, who hails from Punjab's Sangrur. P. Niveda, who had administered the first jab to the PM, assisted Nisha Sharma with the second one. Both of them expressed their happiness and said it was a memorable moment for them.
आज सुबह ही हमें पता चला कि सर अपनी कोवैक्सीन की सेकेंड डोज के लिए एम्स आ रहे हैं और हमें उन्हें वैक्सीनेट करना है। तो हमने उनको वैक्सीन की सेकेंड डोज दी और हमें बहुत अच्छा लगा उनसे मिलके और फिर उनसे थोड़ी सी बातचीत भी हुई। उन्होंने पूछा कि हम कहाँ से हैं और फिर एक फोटोग्राफ ली एंड इट वाज रियली वेरी मेमोरेबल मोमेंट फॉर मी कि उनसे मिलने का मौका मिला और उन्हें वैक्सीनेट करने का मौका मिला इस पैंडेमिक सिचुएशन में।
आई वाज एलेटेड अगेन। आई गॉट अ सेकंड अपॉर्चुनिटी टू मीट सर। अच्छा लगा सर से फिर से बातचीत हुई, एक फोटो भी लिए थे हमने।
The Prime Minister will hold a meeting with chief ministers of all the states today to review the COVID situation and expansion of vaccination program in India. The meeting comes in the wake of steep rise in fresh infections. He will also discuss the ongoing vaccination drive during the virtual meet. Prime Minister Modi's last interaction with the chief ministers was on the 17th of last month. He had expressed concern over the rise in COVID-19 cases in parts of the country and called for a quick and decisive steps to check the emerging second peak.
India has made a landmark achievement of administering over 9 crore COVID-19 vaccine doses. Continuing with its largest vaccination drive in the world, the nation administered nearly 30 lakh doses yesterday. India is one of the countries in the world to administer around 9 crore 1,98,000 COVID vaccine doses in just 82 days. India commenced the largest vaccination drive of the world on 16th of January this year with vaccination of healthcare workers. Vaccination of frontline workers began from 2nd February, whereas from 1st of March, vaccination of everyone aged above 60 years and above 45 years with specified comorbidities was undertaken. From the 1st of this month, under the current phase, everyone above the age of 45 is being vaccinated. In the last 24 hours, 1,26,789 new cases were reported in the country. 685 deaths were reported in the last 24 hours due to COVID-19. The number of active cases in the country stands at around 9,10,000. Over 80% of the new cases are reported from 8 states of Maharashtra, Karnataka, Chhattisgarh, Delhi, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab and Madhya Pradesh. The COVID-19 recovery rate in the country declined and stood at 91.67%. In the last 24 hours, over 59,000 people were discharged after recovery. Indian Council of Medical Research, or ICMR, says that over 12,37,000 samples were tested for COVID-19 in the country yesterday. The centre has asked Maharashtra, Punjab and Delhi to immediately take necessary corrective actions for improving the COVID-19 vaccination drives in their states and Union Territory. Additional Secretary, Union Health Ministry, Manohar Agnani has written to the Principal Secretaries of Health and Family Welfare of Punjab, Delhi and Maharashtra. In a letter to Maharashtra Principal Secretary, Mr. Agnani said, a detailed analysis of performance of COVID-19 vaccination drive reveals that 85.95% of registered healthcare workers have received the first dose of COVID-19 vaccine so far, but the second dose coverage among the registered healthcare workers is nearly 41%, which is below the national average and it needs improvement. In a letter to Punjab Principal Secretary, Mr. Agnani said, a total of over 22,36,000 doses have been made available to the state and the total consumption is 14,94,000. In a letter to Delhi Principal Secretary, Mr. Agnani said, a total of over 23,70,000 doses have been made available to the Union Territory and the total consumption is over 18,70,000. He said the vaccination dose coverage is also below the national average, which needs improvement.
Maharashtra has been witnessing an unprecedented and unabated rise in COVID cases since January this year. According to the data released by the State Public Health Department, in January this year, nearly 3,000 cases were reported on daily basis, which went to above 4,000 in February. In March, an alarm bell was sounded as the daily cases went past 21,000 mark. Our Mumbai correspondent has more details.
The data released by the Maharashtra Public Health Department sheds light on how the cases rose with each passing day in the state from January this year. A glance at the report elucidates that the first week of April 2021 led to more worries for the state government and on the health machinery as a whole. The data says that in just 6 days, that is from April 1 to 6, 3,374 patients were infected as cases hovered in the range of over and above 40,000 mark, touching a single day highest daily case load of 57,000 on 4th of April. However, on April 6th this year, the cases surged past 4,72,000, bringing back the nightmares of last year. It is to be mentioned that in September 2020, major cities of the state including Mumbai, Pune, Nashik, Aurangabad and Nagpur had registered its first peak. In the wake of the calamitous situation, the health infrastructure is once again facing tremendous pressure as 80% isolation beds have been occupied by the patients. Kunal Shinde, AIR News, Mumbai.
Bihar is also witnessing a spike in new cases of COVID-19. A record over 1,500 new cases were reported in the last 24 hours. Patna alone reported 522 cases. 1,124 containment zones have been made across the state, while 188 micro-containment zones are in Patna. The state government has instructed to conduct RT-PCR tests of those coming from Maharashtra, Punjab, Delhi and other states where COVID cases are on the rise. Meanwhile, over 1,07,841 people were vaccinated during the last 24 hours. Over 42,38,000 people have so far been vaccinated in the state.
The Uttar Pradesh government has decided to impose night curfew in Lucknow, Varanasi, Kanpur and Prayagraj districts from tonight. Its timing will be different for every district. In Lucknow, it will be imposed from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. and will continue till 30th of April. District Magistrate of Kanpur has said the 8-hour night curfew will come into force in the district between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. Varanasi will observe a week-long curfew starting from 9 p.m. tonight. In Prayagraj, the night curfew will come into effect from 10 p.m. and will continue till 8 a.m. Meanwhile, in Lucknow, all educational institutes, colleges and coaching institutes, except medical and nursing colleges, will remain closed till 15th of April. In Madhya Pradesh, the government has taken important decisions for COVID control in the last 24 hours. Necessary steps are being taken to prevent black marketing and unnecessary price rise of masks, oxygen, medicines, etc. Remdesivir injection will be made available free of cost to the poor and the middle class. A report from our Bhopal correspondent.
The number of beds available for COVID patients will be increased from 24,000 to 36,000, while the number of beds available for free treatment of COVID patients will be increased to 15,000. 720 fever clinics are operational in the state. Free corona testing of 40,000 suspected patients will be done every day. Allen Hospital in Bhopal has been declared as COVID hospital and it will be reserved for free treatment of COVID patients, while 300 beds have been reserved for free treatment of COVID patients at People's Hospital in Bhopal. For the convenience of the general public, the government has fixed the maximum rates for the various types of tests at private hospitals and testing centers, including Rs 700 for RT-PCR and Rs 300 for rapid antigen test. If a sample has to be collected from home, then an additional fee of Rs 200 can be charged in all categories. Pooja P. Vardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
The walk-in OPD registration at AIIMS Delhi has been temporarily suspended from today. Only those having prior appointments will be attended by the hospital. The move comes as the city witnesses over 5,000 new cases being reported every day. Neurologist at the Lady Hardinge Medical College, Dr. Rajendra K. Dhamija, participated in a special discussion program on COVID-19 on All India Radio. He said that people should come forward to take vaccine to curb the COVID-19 pandemic in the country.
लोगों में आगे बढ़कर टीका लगवाना चाहिए। अभी भी बहुत कम लोगों ने टीका लगवाया है। 60 to 70% जब तक लोगों को टीका नहीं लगता है या नेचुरल इन्फेक्शन नहीं आती है, तब तक कोरोना पर काबू पाना मुश्किल है और हम उसी दिशा में आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। सरकार अपनी तरफ से पूरी कोशिश कर रही है कि जितने से जितने ज्यादा और जल्दी लोगों को टीका लगे, उतनी जल्दी ही हम इम्यून कर पाएं या प्रोटेक्ट कर पाएं।
Dr. Dhamija said that there are several means and one can control COVID-19 by using them.
वैक्सीन और कोविड अप्रोप्रिएट बिहेवियर, जिसमें सैनिटाइजेशन, मास्किंग और डिस्टेंसिंग, ये तीन जो हैं बहुत जरूरी हैं और अगर हम इनका कड़ाई से पालन करें, सेल्फ डिसिप्लिन लेकर, तभी हम कोरोना से बच सकते हैं। अगर जरूरी नहीं है तो घर से बाहर ना निकलें, भीड़ वाली जगह पर बिल्कुल ही नहीं जाएं और ये जो ड्रिल्स हैं सैनिटाइजिंग की, मास्किंग की और डिस्टेंसिंग की, ये सब हम लोगों को पता है, लेकिन हमें अपने बिहेवियर को चेंज करना है और इस ड्रिल को पालन करना है, इस ड्रिल को अपनाना है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that the country will pay a fitting tribute to the great Shri Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji on his 400th Prakash Purab.
गुरु तेग बहादुर जी के 400वें प्रकाश पर्व का ये अवसर एक आध्यात्मिक सौभाग्य भी है और एक राष्ट्रीय कर्तव्य भी है। इसमें हम अपना कुछ योगदान दे सके, ये गुरु कृपा हम सब पर हुई है। मुझे खुशी है कि हम सब देश के सभी नागरिकों को साथ लेकर के अपने इन प्रयासों को आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं। अब यहाँ गृह मंत्री जी ने नेशनल इम्प्लीमेंटेशन कमेटी के अध्यक्ष के तौर पर कमेटी के विचारों को हमारे सामने प्रस्तुत किया। जो भी सुझाव आए थे उसको रखा गया था।
In his closing remarks after the high-level meeting to commemorate the 400th Jayanti of the 9th Sikh Guru, Shri Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, Mr. Modi said that the young generation needs to learn from the life of the Sikh Guru.
400वें प्रकाश पर्व पर सब साल भर पूरे देश में आयोजन होने चाहिए और विश्व में भी हमें अधिकतम लोगों तक पहुंचने का प्रयास करना चाहिए। सिख परंपरा से जुड़े जो भी तीर्थ स्थान हैं, जो श्रद्धा स्थल हैं, वो इन गतिविधियों को और ऊर्जा देंगे। गुरु तेग बहादुर जी के शब्द, उनके रागों का भजन, उनसे जुड़ा साहित्य, सांस्कृतिक कार्यक्रम, ये जन जन को प्रेरणा देंगे। इसमें डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी का उपयोग होने में और उससे ये संदेश पूरे विश्व में नई पीढ़ी तक आसानी से पहुंच पाएगा।
Mr. Modi emphasized that entire Guru traditions along with Guru Tegh Bahadur's life and lessons should be made a part of these celebrations. Speaking about the Sikh Gurus, Mr. Modi asserted that millions of people, including Sikhs and others, are walking the road shown by these Gurus. Home Minister Amit Shah was also present during the meeting. year-long calendar of events planned to mark the special occasion was also discussed during the meet. The high-level committee was constituted by the Centre on 24th of October last year to approve policies, plans and programs related to the commemoration of the birth anniversary. It has 70 members, including the Prime Minister as chairman. You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi takes second dose of COVID vaccine to review the COVID situation and expansion of vaccination drive with Chief Ministers this evening. Over 1,26,000 new COVID-19 cases reported in the last 24 hours, 80% cases from 8 states. More than 9 crore COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country so far. Night curfew to be imposed in 4 districts of Uttar Pradesh from today. Madhya Pradesh government announces measures to prevent black marketing and unnecessary price rise of masks, oxygen and medicines. Campaigning for 4th phase of assembly elections in West Bengal to end this evening. A slew of Indian projects in Seychelles to be virtually inaugurated by the Prime Minister with Seychelles President Wawel Ramkalawan. Army Chief General M.M. Narwane arrives in Dhaka on a 5-day visit to Bangladesh. Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana completes 6 years, loans worth 15 lakh crore rupees sanctioned so far. And IPL kicks off from tomorrow, Mumbai Indians to take on Royal Challengers in the opening game at Chennai. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो खुद से वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
Welcome back to the Midday News on All India Radio. Campaigning for the 4th phase of assembly elections in West Bengal will come to an end this evening. Prominent leaders and star campaigners of various political parties are leaving no stone unturned to woo the voters. 11 seats of South 24 Parganas, 10 seats of Hooghly, 9 seats each of Howrah and Cooch Behar, and 5 seats of Alipurdwar will go to polls on the 10th of this month. 373 candidates are in the fray. More from our Kolkata correspondent.
In South Bengal, particularly in the districts of Howrah and Hooghly, at least 4 leaders, including heavyweights of the ruling party, have changed camp and they are contesting on BJP's ticket in this phase. They are Rajiv Banerjee, Probir Ghoshal, Boishali Dalmia and Rothin Chakraborty. In Domjur, former cabinet minister of Mamata Banerjee government, Rajiv Banerjee, is contesting against TMC's Kalyan Ghosh and CPIM's Uttam Bera. Boishali Dalmia, daughter of former ICC president late Jagmohan Dalmia, is contesting from Bali constituency. TMC has fielded Rana Chatterjee, while Deepshita Dhar, the student leader of CPIM, is contesting as a Sanjukta Morcha candidate for the seat. Journalist and sitting MLA Probir Ghoshal is contesting from Uttarpara constituency as BJP candidate. TMC has fielded Ator Kanchan Mollik, while Rajat Banerjee is the CPIM candidate for the seat. Former mayor of Howrah, Rothin Chakraborty, is contesting on BJP's ticket in Shipur constituency as Trinamool Congress has fielded cricketer Manoj Tiwari against him. Jagannath Bhattacharya of the Forward Bloc is a Sanjukta Morcha candidate for the seat. This phase will also witness another player, footballer Bidesh Ranjan Bose, who is contesting as Trinamool Congress candidate from Uluberia Purbo. His main rivals are Pratyush Mondal of the BJP and Abbasuddin Khan of the ISF, alliance partner of the Sanjukta Morcha. Madhuparna Dharshodhuri, AIR News, Kolkata.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Seychelles President Wawel Ramkalawan will jointly inaugurate a range of Indian projects in Seychelles virtually today. The high-level event will feature joint e-inauguration of the new Magistrates Court building and handing over of a fast petrol vessel to Seychelles Coast Guard. It also includes handing over of a 1-megawatt solar power plant and inauguration of 10 high-impact community development projects.
Army Chief General Manoj Mukund Narwane has arrived in Dhaka today on a 5-day visit to Bangladesh. The Army Chief is scheduled to call on the Army, Navy and Acting Air Force Chiefs of Bangladesh and to meet with other senior officers of the Bangladesh Army. The High Commission of India in Dhaka said that General Narwane will also be visiting various military stations. He will pay tributes to members of the Bangladesh Armed Forces who made the supreme sacrifice during Bangladesh's liberation war by laying a wreath at the altar of Shikha Anirban in Dhaka. The Army Chief will also take part in a seminar on UN peace support operations. He will also witness the culmination exercise, hardware display and closing ceremony of the multinational joint military exercise Shantir Agrashen. The joint military exercise Shantir Agrashen is currently being held in Dhaka from 4th to 12th of April with the participation of the Indian Army, Bangladesh Army, Royal Bhutan Army and the Sri Lankan Army. The exercise is aimed to pay tributes to Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman on his birth centenary and to celebrate 50 years of liberation of Bangladesh. Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana has completed 6 years. It is a scheme under which loans of up to 10 lakh rupees are provided to the non-corporate, non-farm, small and micro enterprises. Let's have a look at how this scheme has performed over these years. A report.
Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana was launched on 8 April 2015. In these years, more than 28 crore 68 lakh loans have been sanctioned. The amount of these loans is around 15 lakh crore rupees. Finance Ministry has said that under this scheme, almost 24% of loans have been given to new entrepreneurs, about 68% of loans given to women entrepreneurs, and about 51% of loans have been given to SC, ST and OBC borrowers. Ministry of Labour and Employment has said that this Yojana has helped in generation of 1 crore 12 lakh net additional employment from 2015 to 2018. Women have accounted for 62% of this estimated increase in employment. Pragya Devra, AIR News, Delhi.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has asked students not to fear from exams but to celebrate them. Prime Minister also asked parents not to pressurize kids and let them enjoy exams. Engaging with students, parents and teachers at the first virtual edition of Pariksha Pe Charcha, Mr. Modi shared his mantras to overcome stress and anxiety. He stressed that students and parents should not consider exams the end of life and always try to do better in the next attempt.
मैं पेरेंट्स से कहना चाहता हूँ, हम आवश्यकता से अधिक ओवर कॉन्शियस हो जाते हैं, हम थोड़े ज्यादा ही सोचने लग जाते हैं। ये कोई आखिरी मुकाम नहीं है, ये जिंदगी बहुत लंबी है, बहुत पड़ाव आते हैं, एक छोटा सा पड़ाव है। हमें दबाव नहीं बनाना चाहिए, चाहे टीचर हो, स्टूडेंट हो, परिवारजन हो, यार दोस्त हो। अगर बाहर का दबाव कम हो गया, खत्म हो गया, तो एग्जाम का दबाव कभी महसूस नहीं होगा, कॉन्फिडेंस फलेगा, फूलेगा।
The Prime Minister asked teachers to guide students on time management. While interacting with Punya Sunya from Arunachal Pradesh and Vinita Garg from Delhi, Mr. Modi suggested that students should divide their attention and energy accordingly towards each subject.
स्टूडेंट से मैं यही कहूंगा कि आपको अपनी एनर्जी को इक्वली डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करना चाहिए, सभी विषयों में बराबर बराबर। आपके पास पढ़ाई के लिए 2 घंटे हैं तो उन घंटों में हर सब्जेक्ट को समान भाव से पढ़िए, अपने समय को इक्वल डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करिए। वहीं टीचर्स के लिए मेरी सलाह ये है, वो विद्यार्थियों से उनको टाइम मैनेजमेंट के संबंध में, उसके तौर तरीके के संबंध में, सिलेबस के बाहर जाकर के भी कभी उनसे बातें करें, उनसे चर्चा करें, उनको गाइड करें।
Mr. Modi also highlighted the importance of spare time, saying it is essential for a day to not become monotonous and robotic. He said on their spare time, they can help their parents and siblings with chores and also do things they are passionate about. He said creativity can take people to newer heights. Mr. Modi asked students to keep their minds calm and fresh while entering the examination hall. He asked them to leave all their tensions outside the examination room and focus on their questions. Mr. Modi said students should stop thinking that their memory is average. Director General of CRPF Kuldeep Singh has ruled out any kind of intelligence or operational failure in the Sukma ambush incident. In an exclusive interview with AIR News, he said the forces gave a befitting reply to the left-wing extremists. He said the paramilitary forces inflicted heavy damage to the Naxals during the 4-hour-long operation. Mr. Singh affirmed that the morale of the forces is very high and they are eager to be in the battlefields.
that there was an intelligence at Junabeda that Naxals have gathered. So we went for that intelligence to check and for search and destroy operation. That is called SADO. We went there, so we were operating on the intelligence. So it can't be said that there was intelligence failure. It was an intelligence on which the forces had planned an operation and went. So it was not failure at all. If you are trying to say, or if the people want to say that there was no intelligence in between when Naxals placed an ambush, so this is an ongoing operation. When the situation keeps on evolving, they keep on ditching us and we keep on ditching them. So number of times the ambush is laid by them, and number of times ambush and Naka and operational exchange of fire is done by us on them.
For listening to the full interview, tune in to our Spotlight program on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies at 9:15 p.m. tonight.
A day-long regional workshop of northeastern states on Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana PMKVY 3.0 is being held in Gangtok, Sikkim today. The workshop is being organized by the Union Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship and Sikkim Skill Development Department. Participants are learning and sharing the best practices and understanding the challenges related to PMKVY 3.0 for its improved implementation. This year's IPL 2020 cricket season begins at the Chippaw grounds in Chennai tomorrow, with Mumbai Indians opening their title defence against Royal Challengers Bangalore. The epic battles in the 14th edition of the IPL are scheduled to be held at 6 venues, including Mumbai, Chennai, Bengaluru, Ahmedabad, New Delhi and Kolkata. The final will be played at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad on 30th of May. Last year, raging concerns over the COVID-19 pandemic led the teams to travel to the UAE. This year, the IPL game has returned to the domestic venues, while stringent safety protocols have been put in place in all the stadiums. This is the first time an IPL series begins in about 6 months from its previous edition.
Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar has paid tributes to Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay on his death anniversary today. In a tweet, Mr. Javadekar said, Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay gave us the national song Vande Mataram. Mr. Javadekar said the country would always be indebted to him. Mr. Javadekar also paid tributes to Mangal Pandey on his death anniversary today. In a tweet, Mr. Javadekar said that Mangal Pandey was a revolutionary who started the freedom struggle in 1857 and is a valiant son of Mother India.
The Sensex at the Bombay Stock Exchange today climbed to trade above the 50,000 mark. The Nifty at National Stock Exchange also surged to trade near 15,000 level. The Sensex gained 403 points to trade at 50,065. The Nifty was also trading 156 points up.
Now let us take a look at the weather today. National capital Delhi has mainly clear sky with maximum temperature expected at 36 degrees Celsius and a minimum recorded at 19 degrees. Mumbai has mainly clear sky. Chennai will have partly cloudy sky. Maximum temperature will be around 34 degrees Celsius while the minimum will be 25 degrees. Kolkata will have partly cloudy sky with possibility of moderate rain or thunderstorm. Srinagar has generally cloudy sky with light rain. Maximum temperature is expected to be around 20 degrees Celsius while the minimum was 5 degrees. Jammu will have mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. Leh will have partly cloudy sky. Gilgit is expected to have 20 degrees Celsius as an upper limit of temperature. Amid generally cloudy sky with light rain, it recorded a minimum of 7 degrees. And Muzaffarabad has partly cloudy sky. Temperature will rise from a minimum of 9 degrees Celsius to a maximum of around 27 degrees. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi takes second dose of COVID vaccine. To review the COVID situation and expansion of vaccination program with Chief Ministers this evening. Over 126,000 new COVID-19 cases reported in the last 24 hours, 80% cases from 8 states. More than 9 crore COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country so far. Night curfew to be imposed in 4 districts of Uttar Pradesh from today. Madhya Pradesh government announces measures to prevent black marketing and unnecessary price rise of masks, oxygen and medicines. Campaigning for 4th phase of assembly elections in West Bengal to end this evening. A slew of Indian projects in Seychelles to be virtually inaugurated by the Prime Minister with Seychelles President Wavel Ramkalawan. Army Chief General M.M. Naravane arrives in Dhaka on a 5-day visit to Bangladesh. Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana complete 6 years, loans worth 15 lakh crore rupees sanctioned so far. And with that, we end the midday news.